Hi everyone, I'm FM Greeno and welcome along to Season 2, Episode 2 of Better Than Eddie. Well, as you can see from the league table, we found the start to this season a little bit trickier than we did last season. Around this time in the previous season we were sitting in the top 3 or 4 in the league. In fact, after about 7 or 8 games we went top. Well, that's clearly not going to be happening this year because we're 5 games in and we're currently sat 15th in the table with just 4 points. It's taken a little while for the squad cohesion to get the guys to gel. Obviously we brought in quite a number of players over the summer to bulk out the squad. We have actually made a couple of extra signings since you were with me last, so let's go and have a little look at that transfer history and you can see who we've brought in. In the last episode you'll remember we were on the verge of selling Nathan Ake, and that deal did indeed go through, so he's headed off to Inter. It was about £50 million up front plus another 18 million in add-ons, so that's a really good deal. But of course, one of our better players has sadly moved on to pastures new. You may remember I already had a deal lined up to kind of replace him. So Eric Dyer came in, obviously a very capable player, and saved us quite a bit of money in terms of the overall net spend. So that was a good deal to bring him in. There were a couple of other areas where I thought we were a little weaker than I'd like us to be. Ramsdale hadn't really shown enough signs of development in goal, and although he was still our first choice, I thought we needed to improve. So I've gone out and bought in Kevin Trapp from Eintracht Frankfurt, who is a slight improvement to be honest. And also at left back I thought we were a little bit short there. Diego Rico and Lloyd Kelly were kind of vying for that place, but neither of them really at the kind of quality I wanted. So I managed to bring in Luke Shaw on loan from Manchester United. It's not a bad deal. We're only paying about 40% of his wages. There is a clause in the deal to sign him at the end of the season for £12 million, which I think is a very good price. So I thought that was a good deal to bring him in. We've also had the draw for the Europa League made now. And in fact I'm going to bring you a game from that today, our first game in the group. So we've been drawn against CSKA Moscow, Marseille and Rosenborg. It's not the easiest of groups, there are easier ones that have been drawn, but at least we've kind of avoided the really, really tough guys. Dortmund are in this competition, Napoli for example, and as a team with no European pedigree we were actually 4th seeds in the draw. So we were kind of lucky to avoid some of the bigger guys, but it's going to be a competitive group I think, but hopefully one that we've got enough nous about us to get through. I predicted that our start to the season had the potential to be a little bit difficult, and so it has certainly proved. You obviously were with me for the Chelsea game last and we lost that 2-0. Then we went to Norwich, got a 0-0 draw. It's not a bad result. Norwich are a little bit better in game than they are in real life. Man United, we conceded a goal in the first minute and just couldn't get back into the game. Both teams had chances, but Man United were fairly comfortable if I'm honest. And then we went to Fulham and that was a little bit disappointing. We took the lead just before half time, and so I thought that was going to be our first win of the season. But unfortunately Michael Hector equalised for them about 10 minutes into the second half, and it looked like it was petering out into a draw until injury time, and Cavaliero unfortunately stepped up and slotted home a winner, and so we came away defeated at Craven Cottage. So at that point we had played 4 games and we're only on 1 point and we're in the bottom 3. Burnley came to Dean Court next after a bit of an international break, and we jiggled the formation around a little bit to try and make us a bit harder to break down and kind of counter-attack a little bit more. It worked out for us. We scored very early on through Ryan Fraser. Eric Dyer notched his first for the club just after half time, and we looked like we were going to be really comfortable until about 5 minutes from the end when Burnley pinched one back, and it was kind of squeaky bum time for the last 5 minutes or so, but we held on to record our first win of the season. So today we have the Rosenborg game at home. On paper probably the easiest game of our qualifying group in the Europa League. But let's get into the squad screen and see how we're setting up for that game. Now the squad is not entirely full of happy campers right now. There's been a little bit of dissent around, mainly centred around the squad selection for the Europa League. course, when you're selecting the Premier League squad, you just need to have 25 players, I think 8 of which have to be homegrown in the nation, and that's fairly easy to fill, you know. Europa League rules are slightly different in that you also have to have 4 homegrown club players in your squad. Now, of course, Bournemouth's youth system has been woefully inadequate at producing first team quality players. So we just don't have anyone who is in the sort of first team squad who would fill that criteria. So players who are registered in the Premier League squad, some of them have had to be left out of the Europa League squad. And they were not happy about that. So we've had the likes of David Brooks and Lloyd Kelly and Danjuma all coming in, having a moan, very, very upset that they're not in the Europa League squad, and so I've had to try and appease them a little bit. Of course, some of that's rubbing off on a couple of the other players. So yes, and with the form having been as it is, morale is not at the highest level it's ever been. Anyway, hopefully we can get a win today and start turning that morale around a little bit. As for the formation, so you can see on the left hand side, I've dropped the left midfielder back a little bit. So Fraser, rather than being very attacking, he's dropped back kind of into a more standard left midfield-ish role. I've kept the right hand side more attacking because normally Barbosa is playing there. He's just having a rest today, and he's wasted if you drop him any further back. He kind of has to play that inside forward role. So the team for today, we're going with Trapp in goal, the new goalkeeper. Luke Shaw is playing at left back. He's our only current fit and registered left back for this competition, so hopefully he'll make the whole game. Stacey is coming at right back just to give Zayfoyk a rest. Araujo and Antov, the young Bulgarian, are getting a game today. Again, Mepham having a rest. Dyer in the holding midfield role. Linetti and Lewis Cook are playing in midfield, so again a couple of players rested there, Lerma and Paredes. Ryan Fraser on the left hand side, Ibe comes in for Barbosa on the right, and Callum Wilson is playing up top. The reason for making so many changes to the team is we have Man City away at the weekend, so I'm trying to get some of the first team regulars to have tip-top condition for that game. So here we are for the first ever European night in the history of AFC Bournemouth. Hopefully you will get a positive result. Like I said, Rosenborg are probably on paper the weakest team that we're going to come up against in this competition. So I'm hoping that we'll put some of our recent woes behind us and come up with a positive performance. So Fraser with a free kick here. What a free kick that is. Bends it round the wall into the near post. The keeper is static, and that's Bournemouth's first ever goal in Europe. Ryan Fraser, direct free kick, just over 20 yards out. What a great goal. And I'm sure that's really got the fans buzzing around Dean Court. Another highlight for us here. Fraser into Linetti, he's got some space to run into. What's he going to do? Passes to Lewis Cook, out wide to Jack Stacey on the overlap. He pulls it back though to Dyer, Lewis Cook into Linetti, has a crack. What a hit that is! Wow. That's his first goal in Bournemouth colours, and that is one to remember. Stacey pulls it back, Dyer into Lewis Cook, Linetti again with a little bit too much space on the edge of the box, and he rifles it home from just over 20 yards. And so that's 2-0 after 20 minutes. What a great start to the game for us. We still have to be a little bit careful though. Rosenborg here with a highlight. But Ryan Fraser pinches the ball into Callum Wilson. Can he finish? Of course he can. That's 3. His first goal of the season. That'll have been weighing heavily on his shoulders that he hadn't actually scored in the 5 games he'd played yet. And that's a great pinch from Fraser into Wilson, and he's very calm and tucks it into the bottom corner. 3-0, not even 25 minutes on the clock yet. Perfect. I think we need to drop a bit of praise on the guys for this start to the game. Not much more happening in the first half as yet, but there doesn't really need to be. A corner here, Ryan Fraser takes. Cleared, but Dyer picks up the loose ball. Back to Stacey on the halfway. Linetti now has the ball. We're knocking it around nicely. Araujo, the centre half, going on a bit of a bumble. Linetti picks it up again. Wow. That's his second perler from long range of the game. And look at the fans. They're absolutely ecstatic, and well they might be. 4-0 up before half time. Callum Wilson here. Little dink back to Linetti. He just fires it home from range. 4-0 up. Wow, I did not expect us to do this well. That's for sure, especially the way we've been playing of late. So I think we've got to get in and tell the boys, yeah, everything's excellent. Get out for the second half and enjoy ourselves. And I think this gives us the opportunity to make a couple of changes if we need to. I'd like to give Araujo a little bit of a rest, and perhaps Ryan Fraser, because they'll be needed against Man City at the weekend. Fraser here with a corner. Antov, Lewis Cook, and that's 5. I'm not sure, it looked like that took a little bit of a deflection on the way in, but he certainly hit it well. Let's have another look at that. So Antov knocks it back. Cook, yeah, look, it did. It came off Linetti, didn't it? I'm not sure. Looked like it came off. Yeah, came off the back of Linetti. So that's his hat trick. Contrasting goals, if we're honest. Now let's make a couple of changes here. So Araujo we want to take off. We'll bring Mepham on, and Ryan Fraser is going to come out. We haven't really got anyone to go in there, so we'll bring Barbosa on and swap him and Ibe around. And we should have 15 comfortable minutes here. We'll make one further change. I want to bring Shaw off now. We definitely don't have anyone to replace him, so I'm going to bring on Zayfwik. He can't really play on the left, but it doesn't really matter a 5 up, does it? Only 10 minutes to go. And they're just going to fizzle out. And there we go. Full time and a 5-0 win. Another bit of good news for us. The other game in our group between Marseille and CSKA Moscow finished in a draw. So that puts us top of the group. Okay, we're only 1 game in, but if other teams are already dropping points, that can only be a good thing. In terms of the schedule, we're coming to a little tricky run of fixtures. Man City away in the league, followed by Chelsea away in the Carabao Cup. Carabao Cup won't be my priority this season though at all, so we'll see some heavy rotation in that game, and what will be will be. I think I'm going to bring you back for the 4th game of the Europa League group stage. That's at home to Marseille, and the game takes place on Bonfire Night, so hopefully we're going to see some fireworks at Dean Court. So I hope you've enjoyed watching today's episode. I think it's been a good one. It's been nice to get a heavy win under our belts. The last few live comms we've had fairly substantial defeats, so it's nice to turn that run around a little bit. If you have enjoyed it, please consider dropping a like on the video, and any comments you've got, I'd love to see them too. If you haven't already, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of fun content on there from this save, plus also my save Holy Cow with the Indian national team. But finally, thanks once again for watching, and I hope to see you all again very soon at Dean Court for the Marseille game. Bye for now.